We've all seen the headlines by now. $100,000 per year is the new middle class. People don't even feel rich with $100,000 anymore, and countless stories from all over the internet and real life back up this sentiment. You can even find examples of people who make $100,000 per year and are still struggling in debt. This did lead me to wonder, however, if 100,000 is the new middle class. What's the new poverty wage? So I did some research, and as it turns out, the results are both shocking and depressing. Those of you making under 60,000, are you okay? This post blew up on the Millennials subreddit, recently amassing over 10,000 upvotes. The guy proceeds to explain, "I am barely able to survive off of a livable wage now. I don't even have a car because I live in a walkable area. My bills, food, Netflix, mortgage, house insurance, health insurance, one credit card. I'm food prepping more than ever. I have literally listed every single item we use in our home on Excel and have the prices listed for every store. I even regularly update it. I had more spending money 5 years ago when I made much less. What? The frick. This is just insane. You have here a guy who's making what was considered a middle-class income not too long ago. He's clearly not some extravagant spender as boomers would like for you to believe. He's pinching every penny, meal prepping to save money on food, even tracking every last purchase he makes on a spreadsheet. He's not even driving, which I was unaware walkable cities even existed in America, but that's actually a benefit that 99% of Americans don't have. This guy deserves to live a comfortable, decent middle-class life. This shouldn't even be a remotely controversial opinion to have. Spare me all the BS of he just needs to work harder, he needs to acquire another skill. There just isn't enough market supply and demand for him. Listen, if society depends on a market and an economic system where over 90% of decent, honest people are struggling to get by, where the only people who succeed are the biggest liars, cheaters, scammers, and sociopaths, then your society and economic system deserves to collapse and fail, not 90% of the people living in it. Then, there just isn't enough market demand for your garbage economy and joke of a society to keep running. Now, to be fair, we don't know this guy's exact salary. Based on the title of his post, we could deduce it's slightly under 60,000, but we don't know for sure, as he didn't specify it. But there were many people in the comments who did, and this is where things get insanely dark and dystopian. I just got a raise, and I make $42,000. No, I am not okay, but I'm making it. I'm really glad I paid attention when my grandmother taught me to garden and can. Was also making $42,000 for a while and was living paycheck to paycheck. Now I make even less because I decided to go back to school so I can get a master's degree and make more money one day. Unfortunately, to do this, I had to give up my old job, and I am surviving now thanks to Medicaid, SNAP, food pantries, etc. But I'm behind on all of my bills and have to deal with collectors constantly calling me and threatening to garnish my wages. God bless America. Mind if I ask you to elaborate on the gardening and canning? What sorts of food do you grow and can? Lots of stuff. I make wine from what fruit we can't eat, can, or freeze. I dry the herbs. I also go hunting during deer season. I would fish, but I wouldn't trust anything that came out of the rivers in my area. I don't really like red meat anyway, so it's mostly veggies. That sounds cool, but also sounds like a history book excerpt from the Great Depression. My grandmother lived through it and learned all of these skills from her mother. So I figured if it worked for them, it would work for me. It's not the do-all problem solver, though. There are a lot of modern problems that can't be solved the way they did it. Probably because no matter how bad it gets, the US government will never term another economic downturn a depression again. They will always be called recessions, no matter how dire. This guy actually makes a very interesting point here. Here's a quick fact you probably didn't know about the Great Depression. It was obviously a very difficult time where it was damn near impossible to get a job and money was hard to come by. But did you know that unlike today, if you did somehow find a way to come by even a little bit of money, it would go a long, long way. According to this article from Newsweek, a new house had a price tag of $3,900, which sounds attainable given that the average income was $1,731 per year. A new set of wheels would set you back $860. A movie ticket was just 25 cents, gas was 10 cents per gallon, and a postage stamp was 3 cents. Sugar cost 59 cents for 10 pounds, vitamin D milk was 50 cents a gallon, ground coffee cost 39 cents per pound, bacon was 3 cents per pound, and eggs were 18 cents a dozen. Now, as shockingly low as these prices are compared to today, this next example I'm about to show you blows all of those out of the water. How much do you think a yearly tuition cost at Harvard in the Great Depression era? For reference, it costs about $83.5 thousand today. Maybe you'd guess it was 10 times cheaper, say $8,000 per year. That would still be an incredible dream by today's standard. But you would be wrong, way, way wrong, not even in the same galaxy. So let's take an exponentially bigger guess and say it was 100 times cheaper at $800 per year. That's literally half the price of monthly rent today for a year-long Harvard tuition. But even if you guessed it was 100 times cheaper, you'd still be off by quite a bit. Harvard tuition for an entire year back then cost a stunning $420. That's right. What you currently have to pay for about a week's worth of rent today would have got you an entire year's worth of the best Ivy League education in the Great Depression era. When you look at it from this perspective, life is actually harder now in many ways. The key trademark of the Great Depression that made it such a historically difficult time was how hard it was to find work back then. But at least if you were one of the lucky few that found work, the money you made would go a long way. Today, it's still impossibly difficult to find work. But even if you are one of the lucky few that somehow manages to land a $50,000 middle-class job, you're still going to struggle to live paycheck to paycheck. The writing is on the wall at this point that America is screwed. But one potential solution to save yourself is to just leave America, which is exactly what I did 10 years ago, despite only having $2,000 saved up. You can check out the story of how I did that in this video right here.